Oregon House Republicans have a new leader to replace Christine Drazan, who is looking to move to the Oregon Senate. Lucetta Elmer of McMinnville previously served as deputy leader of the House Republican caucus, which has 23 members. Republicans chose Elmer as House leader after Senator Daniel Bonham resigned and was later tapped by President Trump for a job in the Labor Department under Labor Secretary and former Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeRemer of Happy Valley. The previous House Republican leader, Christine Drazan, then resigned her position, aiming for the appointment to Bonham's Senate seat. Well, those falling dominoes put Representative Lucetta Elmer into the leadership position. Elmer grew up in Yamhill County, is a graduate of Linfield University, and owns several businesses, including a boutique hotel and a coffee shop in McMinnville. Representative Elmer, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, let's start out with the transportation bill. You are among the Republicans who voted against the transportation bill, which ultimately passed in a long special session. But Governor Kotek still has not signed that bill that she lobbied so heavily for. Why do you think she hasn't signed it?
You are correct. She has not signed that bill. And while I haven't specifically asked her reasons why, everyone is aware that we are working on the referral process and trying to get enough signatures so that we can have all of Oregon weigh in on this very controversial subject. So we only have 90 days after the bill passes to collect the 78,000 plus signatures required to be able to refer this bill to the ballot next November. But we cannot start collecting those signatures until she signs the bill. Now, legally, she has 30 days to sign the bill, but, this is her bill. She called an emergency session, a special session to get this bill through. And I just have to wonder why she's delaying. If she's so confident that this is the correct path for Oregon, that we need this bill to pass and raise our taxes, then sign it and let's be on our way, even if that means that we're going to take a run at trying to collect enough signatures to put it on the ballot. Because again, if she's confident that this is the correct path, that shouldn't defer her agenda on this.
Okay, it's a $4.3 billion bill that has a lot of tax increases, fee increases associated with it. Is that your main problem with the bill and why you're looking to maybe take it to the public instead of letting it go through the way it is now?
Well, I think Oregon has asked to be able to weigh in on it. This was completely controversial all through long session when we had House Bill 2025 that ultimately failed. And then bringing it back for special session, it was a hardline partisan vote with a lot of people weighing in on their opinion on this. So I think Oregon is asking for it. They want to make sure that their voice is heard, and they don't want this.
With Republicans in the minority, what kind of impact can you make as House Republican leader?
I think the biggest thing and the thing that I hold as the most important role is to elevate our voice. The minority voice is very valid. We represent so much of Oregon. If you look at, all of the rural parts of Oregon, which predominantly are Republican, we need to have our voice elevated. And that's the way that democracy works, right? The minority voice has such a significant place. But right now in Oregon, where we sit in a super minority in both the House and the Senate, and we have a Democrat governor and a Democrat Secretary of State and a Democrat Attorney General, we have to elevate our voice. So that is my number one job right now, to make sure that our perspective is heard.
That transportation bill that we just talked about, it really highlighted the partisan divide in Salem. Is there any hope for bipartisanship there?
I don't see that right now, no. We had solutions. I firmly believe it's not a revenue problem we're facing, it's a priority problem. But our ideas were not considered. There was no bipartisanship offered on the part of the Democrats. We offered several ideas and options, and none of those were ever given consideration. So it was a hard party line vote.
You represent Yamhill County in House District 24. It's rich in farmland, including Oregon wine country. How has the national crackdown on immigration affected Yamhill County and especially the workforce there?
I think overall, Oregon we've been in a workforce crisis for quite some time. I mean, we are a heavily regulated state. We are burdened with so much regulation. We are seeing businesses flee for several reasons. So, I think that this has been something that's been coming all along. And as vice chair of the Labor and Workplace Standards Committee, I've been fighting for a better healthy business climate in Oregon now for 3 years. And it is very frustrating when we see time and time again bills passed that are hurting businesses. And it's in that committee, they're usually party line votes as well. So it is a very frustrating position to be in. And we're seeing it throughout the whole entire state. But I think we've been seeing it for quite some time. And it has to do directly with legislation that's coming out of Salem.
Specifically, though, when we talk about immigration enforcement, we've heard reports of ICE agents arresting a man outside the Yamhill County jail, at least 2 targeted arrests of vineyard workers in Newburgh. Are you in favor of the ICE actions in Oregon, especially in your county?
I have an understanding of what President Trump is trying to do. And I think the overall picture of what he's trying to do is something that has needed to be addressed for a very long time. And I know that that can get messy and it can be hard, to wait as the whole thing plays out. But I am understanding that, he is trying to make sure that we are a country that has people in here in the correct way and that we are a safe country. So we're trying to let the process play out.
Will you at least admit that it is having an effect in Yamhill County?
Personally, for me, I'm not seeing that, but I would have my head stuck in the sand if I didn't acknowledge that, yes, there are many conversations and people are weighing in heavily with their opinions on this. But like I said, as a state representative, it's something that we have our eye on, but we're watching and trying to see how this plays out and understanding the bigger goal that is at play here.
Now, I know you're in McMinnville, but I imagine you spend at least some time here in the Portland area. What do you think of the president's attempt to deploy National Guard troops to Portland?
Yeah, I was just up there yesterday. Again, I understand what he's trying to do there too. And I think more than anything, Oregonians and probably across the nation, but I know for sure here, what I hear time and time again is how Oregonians are so tired of the fighting, just the political rhetoric. And we have to, I live in Oregon, I get it, but we have to acknowledge that the president is trying to set a precedent and he is trying to establish peace and not have violence in our streets. I did shared some videos that we all have access to see about reporters that were being harassed and one ended up with a black eye. And, there's no place for that. So I think that we need to try to work together to understand that we all, I'm sure, have the same goal of we do not want to see violence in our streets.
Got less than 30 seconds here, but as we leave you, did you get any advice from Christine Drazan about taking on this role?
Yeah, Drazan is great, and I'm so fortunate that I was able to work with her for a year as her deputy. I appreciate the relationship that her and I have. I appreciate what she did in this last year as leader of the party, and so I will definitely be keeping her number in my favorites as I move forward.
Representative Lucetta Elmer, thank you for joining Eye on Northwest Politics, and good luck in your new role.
Thank you.